Hi gorgeous, Olga's here. Welcome to this week blog. My name is Olga Bochareva. I'm a relationships coach and advanced fast EFT practitioner. And today we're talking about how to stop sabotaging your relationships. Such a gorgeous topic. I got this question in our private Facebook community, Tap Into Your Best Relationships, lately. And a lady there asked, Olga, help. I am in a relationship with this guy and things are going well, but every time he doesn't text me or doesn't respond, I start freaking out and I feel like I'm very close to sabotaging it because I feel very nervous and I feel very anxious for no apparent reasons. How do we stop that? I think this is such a brilliant question because the question of self-sabotage is something that we all experience. I still do this and I'm in a very happy relationships and I still sabotage it on some level. Now the question is, how can you clear this so it doesn't actually ruin our relationships or it doesn't create so much drama when things are just have to fall apart? This is a wonderful topic and it's totally topical. But first thing first, let's talk about something that's called upper limit problem. If you haven't heard about upper limit problem, this is the concept that I've learned from Gay Hendricks from his brilliant book on clearing upper limits, and it's called The Big Leap. Just forgot for a second. And so in this book, he talks about how we all as human beings have this internal thermostat set in of how much love and abundance we can naturally accept. Now, once we pass this threshold, all of a sudden we start sabotaging ourselves and we start creating any obstacles to receiving more love and abundance. If you ever been in relationships when things are going well and all of a sudden you start doing and saying things that are kind of messing things up, that is a symptom of what I called an upper limit problem. As a matter of fact, Gay Hendricks himself says that there's only one problem in relationships ever, and that is your ability to expand and receiving love, your ability to expand, growing together, and just feeling happier. And so the reason why I'm so excited about this work, helping people to be just happy in intimate relationships, is because I believe we all bump into this particular problem, and that's what messing things up. So what I want to ask you is, who do you need to forgive? That's my first question for you. If you're noticing that you're sabotaging yourself or you're getting into sabotaging patterns, who do you need to forgive? Because the truth is, we all defaulting to something that we know subconsciously, right? So there's this default state. We all will bump into that and jump into that unless we clear it. And the best way to clear it is to forgive. By the way, if you haven't signed up for the forgiveness challenge that we're starting on Monday, please come join us. There's a 5-day of pure goodness of us clearing and releasing everything that doesn't serve us anymore. Now, the second question that I wanted to ask you, what are you afraid of? I remember when me and Ernie just started dating, I was genuinely afraid of being seen. He had this thing to himself where we would sit and have a dinner and he would just look into my eyes and I would just do this and this and that. I couldn't look into his eyes. And then he said, Olga, can you look into my eyes? I was like, no, it feels very intimate and it feels like I'm under a microscope. So this fear of intimacy sometimes could be so strong that it will allow us to push, will force us to push people away because, subconscious, the universe always want to protect us. So if we're getting from something, it's in danger and it will take us out of that situation so we don't put ourselves there in danger, right? But the truth is, there's nothing dangerous in being in relationships, healthy relationships. It's quite the opposite. It's a great thing to do, and it's one of the deepest humans' desires. And so if you notice that you are bumping into these things, just ask yourself, what am I afraid of? So for me, it was just fear of intimacy. I never had that before where somebody would be just there for me, just looking and talking. I would just start freaking out that I'm not good enough and they're gonna see it, I'm gonna be total fluent flow. And so just notice that. What is your biggest fear? Do you experiencing this form of sabotage? It's okay to let it go. And finally, the third thing I want to ask is, what do you believe you're holding on to? Because if you're creating sabotages, or if you're creating something, there is a belief deep down inside that allows this to happen. And yes, very often it has to do with fears and need to forgive, but sometimes it's something else. So for me, it's very often this thing where I work too much. I get myself into exhaustion and I just keep on doing and going to the point where I am just exhausted and have nothing to give. I remember my mom doing that a lot. Like, she would just work and give and clean, and she would be always busy, and then she would be just so exhausted and tired, had no time for herself, had no time for us. And so I tended to get into this super pleasing people's pattern where I want to do everything, and it just doesn't serve anyone. So I have this subconscious belief that I'm still interested, I'm still clearing. I've done a lot of work through that, but still it's there sometime. That has to do with, in order to be loved, I have to give and overgive and overgive. I remember working with a client, and she said, Olga, I feel like I'm stuck all the time, and this stuckness just kind of stops me from moving over my relationships, experiencing happiness. So her pattern was the one of stuckness. Another client of mine, when we were tapping together, she said, I noticed that I run away. I'm a runner. And when things come up, I just tend to disappear. She's like, it has to stop because I really want to be in a long-term committed relationships. So after having a few sessions, we tapped it out, and she met a boyfriend, and 6 months later they're still together. So the reason I'm sharing it with you guys, because there is something there that you can address and you can uncover to let it go. The bottom line, it's your time to grow up and be happy. And if you haven't signed up for the forgiveness challenge, I'll make sure there's a link below for you to join. Thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you next week. Bye.